بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. We're going to continue tonight from Bab Sifatul Salat, and we're going to start with the Arkan, the pillars of the Salat, which we just did the description of the prayer, which was general and it didn't mention specifics in certain areas. So now, from the things that were described in the prayer previously, some things are considered to be pillars of the prayer, and some things are considered to be obligations in the prayer, and some things are considered to be sunnah in the prayer, recommended acts in the prayer. Everything that we did so far was a general description without any detail of what's a pillar, no detail on what's obligatory or what is sunnah. So now, after going through the general description, he goes into a detailed description. The first one is Arkanuha. Arkanuha. طيب. Ar-Rukn. In Arkan is the plural of Rukn, the pillar. Ar-Rukn is a pillar, right? And as they describe it, the ulama, Jam'u Rukn wa huwa janibu shay al-aqwa, the strongest point of something, right? So the strongest part of a standing building, of course, is the foundation, the pillars of the building, right? The most important pillar in Al-Islam is the Shahada. Then the other pillars follow in importance. So generally, a pillar is the strongest point of something, right? Just like buildings have pillars, the Deen, Islam has pillars, and the Salat has pillars. طيب. Now, the Salah also has, and we're not discussing this today, but the Salah also has conditions, right? Conditions for the Salah to be valid, and they're not the same. A condition, does anybody know the difference between a condition for a Salah and a pillar of the Salah? Huh? Say it again. A condition? What is a condition though? So if I say a condition, we say shurut al-salat, a condition for the salat, right? Same word is used for other things, shurut al-hajj and different things like that, shurut al-salat. The condition is before the salat even starts. Before we even begin praying, certain things have to be in order, or the salah is going to be invalid. It's not even valid. Like what? Your intention and wudu, facing the qibla, right? All of those things are outside of the actual prayer. The wudu is not from the actual salat. It's a prerequisite, it's a condition for the salat. In order to start and pray, you got to make wudu first. Before you pray, you got to face the qibla. You got to make sure there's no filth, najasa, that the place is clean, right? Those are before the salat. They're not actually from the crux of the prayer, which is different from the arkan. The pillars of the prayer are from the actual salat. They're inside of the salat. They're part of the salat itself. Everybody with me? So we're not talking about the conditions, even though hopefully maybe after Ramadan we can start from the beginning of the Kitab al-Salat. But the pillars that we're going through today are from the Salat. And as it says, قال رحمه الله فصل أركانها, the pillars of the Salat. And they are ما كان فيها, what is it? From the Salat. And these pillars can never be missed. لا يسقط. They never fall off. I missed it, it's cool. I can just keep going. Right? The pillars cannot be missed. لا يسقط عمدا. Not if a person intentionally didn't do it, It's going to invalidate the salah. Wala sahwa. If a person forgot to do it, right? They can't just say, I forgot. I ain't doing it intentionally, I forgot. So I can just keep going, right? Even if they forgot to do it, it's a problem. It can be fixed. If a person forgets, it can be fixed, right? But it can't just go like that, go with the wind as if nothing happened, I forgot. Wala jahla. And even if a person doesn't know, it doesn't mean that they don't have to do these things. It might be a new Muslim, right? They don't know the salah, exactly how it should be prayed. They still learn. That doesn't mean that they don't have to do these things to the best of their ability. So the pillars don't drop off, not if you intentionally drop them off, not if a person drops them off because they didn't know, or if a person forgot. In no case are these pillars allowed to be missed in the salah. And they're also called, the pillars are also sometimes called furud. Furud, which could be translated as obligation also. But pillar is a little more distinguished. طيب, he says, rahimahullah, al-qiyamu fi fardin li ghayri ma'dhurin. The first one, and it's 14 that he mentions. The first one, al-qiyam fi fard li ghayri ma'dhur. Standing is a pillar. And an obligatory prayer. Standing in an obligatory prayer for the person who doesn't have an excuse to sit. طيب. Standing in the prayer, an obligatory prayer for the person who doesn't have an excuse to sit. So if a person, مثلا, is sick, or a person can't stand, or a person has a back problem, or a person has a leg problem, they can sit down, right? They have an excuse to sit. But if a person doesn't have any ailments preventing them from standing in the salat, they don't have the option. It's not optional if you can stand or sit for Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. It's not an option if you can stand or sit, right? For the obligatory prayer, as he specifically said, if it's an optional prayer, a sunnah, that's something different. طيب. So the first one is al-qiyam al-qudra. Standing with the ability to stand, assuming the person has the ability to stand. And again, if they don't have the ability to stand, then they're excused from standing. If a person can stand for some of it, they should stand for as much as they can stand for. Allah said in the Quran, وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, and stand before Allah with devotion, meaning in the salah. طيب, the second pillar, remember, none of these can be missed. If it's missed, it's going to affect the whole prayer. Everybody with me? At-Tahrima, the opening takbir. The first Allahu Akbar, which is, we discussed that previously, right? That starts the prayer, but it's a pillar. So if a person comes in here and they never did the takbir to the ihram, they never started the prayer. If they just was rushing, they were rushing for the salat because they're already praying, so they just came into the salat, right? And they did what? As he said earlier, they didn't say anything. The takbir is the statement, Allahu Akbar. The takbir is not the raising of the hands, the statement Allahu Akbar. So the takbir, the tahrima, the opening takbir is a pillar that if you never make the opening takbir, you never started the salat. The salat never began. The salat never began. The Prophet ﷺ said, tahrimuha at-takbir. The opening or what begins the salat is the takbir, Allahu Akbar. طيب, the third pillar, al-Fatiha, Qira'at al-Fatiha, the reading of Surah al-Fatiha. And again, as he mentioned earlier, the al-Fatiha has how many shaddas? 11. 11 shaddas. And if you miss a shadda, then you miss the letter in al-Fatiha. If you miss a letter in al-Fatiha, then you didn't read al-Fatiha. That's why it's important to make sure that we have the basics that we use every day down, right? That we have the basic things that we use every day. Wudu, salah, that we make sure we have those things perfected to the best of our ability. That we can't do something every day and we're doing it wrong, right? That's a problem. It's not a problem if we make a mistake, but there's a problem if we keep making the same mistake over and over and over and we never correct it, then that's a problem, right? So sometimes we look down on things that we might consider to be, new information. That's basic information. But if that basic information is not solid, then you can affect your whole salat. So we don't want to have the attitude as, I'm good, I already know that. We went to university, we were in the last level of Quran. The last level of Quran we had to do when we came in, teacher made us all read Al-Fatiha. Right? We didn't did Al-Fatiha, just, right? We in the last level of Quran, read Al-Fatiha, let me hear Al-Fatiha. Right? It's not something that we should look down on as if, I got that, I'm good. No, if I have it, alhamdulillah, I just double check to make sure I have it. And then, if I don't, maybe I have a mistake and I don't know. Right? One time I did a class on Al-Fatiha, I could go out to Al-Fatiha, the brother said, what's the class on? I said, get out to Al-Fatiha, I read Al-Fatiha. So no, I got that, I'm good. So, alhamdulillah, mashallah. Yeah, But it's not something, as the Prophet ﷺ said, La salata liman lam yaqra bi fatihat al-kitab. There's no salat for the person who doesn't read Al-Fatiha. No salat for the person who doesn't read Al-Fatiha. So, Al-Fatiha is the third pillar. Tayyib. The fourth pillar, wa-rukur. Rukur is another pillar, which means it can't be skipped. It's not optional. And if it's missed, it has to be fixed. Okay? A rukur. He says, Ijma'in fi kulli raka'. Rukur is a pillar, and the dalil that he mentioned is ijma'. Ijma'. Consensus of the scholars that rukur is a pillar. Meaning, what that means is, consensus of the scholars by itself, the fact that the scholars agree on something, ijma', this is a proof alone. This is considered a proof. Meaning, maybe I don't know the hadith that mentions ruku as a pillar. Maybe I don't know the ayah. But what I do know is ijma', and that's enough. It's enough to say ijma'. Ijma' that ruku is from the pillars of the salah. Can't be missed. Not intentionally, not mistakenly, not unknowingly, because I didn't know it was a pillar. And if it is missed, it has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. Tayyib. The fifth one, wal-i'tidal anhu. Coming back up from ruku'. Raising back up from ruku' is also a pillar, as the Prophet ﷺ, this is how he prayed. He would go into a ruku' and he would raise out of ruku'. And he said in the hadith, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. He said, pray as you see me pray. And when he prayed, he would, after ruku', he would come out of ruku'. The sixth one was sujood. Making sajda is from the pillars. And he also says, ijma'an, again, for consensus. How do you know that we have to make sajda in every rak'ah? Based on what? How do you know? What's the dalil? Right? People of dalil, what's the dalil? What's your proof on that? Well, ijma', the consensus of the ummah, that ruku' sajda is from the pillars of the salah and ruku', right? That's enough. But what's the hadith? Ijma'. I don't know the hadith. What I do know is consensus of the ummah that sajda is from the pillars of the salah. Tayyib. That's number 6. Number 7, وَالرَّفْعُ مِنْهُ. Raising up from the sajda. Coming up out of sajda. Right? We go into sajda, and then we come up and we sit. Right? The raising up from sajda is also from the pillars. And he says here, for the sujood ijma'an. And then he says, ala a'ta' sab'a. That was mentioned in the description, that when we make sajda, there's 7 things that should be touching the ground, right? The 7 things, the 2 feet, the 2 knees, the 2 hands, and the forehead, along with the nose, is considered one limb. Tayyib. Coming up out of ruku', out of sajda is also a pillar. The 8th one, al-julus bayna sajdatain. So now, when we come up out of sajda, right, we have to come up. We can't stay there and count that as 2. We have to come up as a pillar. And now the sitting between the 2 sajdas is a pillar. The sitting between the 2 sajdas. لقول عائشة رضي الله عنها كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا رفع رأسه من سجوده لم يسجد حتى يستوي قاعدا. That when he would come out of out of sajda, that Aisha said, رضي الله عنها, when the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم would come out of sajda, when he would raise his head, that he wouldn't make sajda again until he fully came out of sajda and fully sat back up. The sitting that we do. It wasn't a half come up and then go back down. Until he came back, as she says, حَتَّى يَسْتَوِيَ قَاعِدًا, until he was sitting all the way back up out of sajda. Right? And in that spot, when we sit like that, it's a dua. Right? It's a dua that was mentioned in the general description. Right? So, the raising back up from sajda is a pillar. Also, sitting between bayna sajdatain. The sitting between the 2 sajdas is also a pillar. Everybody clear to this point? Now, if any of these are missed, how you fix it is another chapter. Right? That's a whole other chapter, which is the sujood as-sahwi, the prostration for forgetfulness. When to make it, why to make it, when do you have to make it, when is it recommended to make it, right? If these are missed, مثلا, a person makes the takbir, they read Surah Al-Fatiha, they read another surah, and then after that they say Allahu Akbar, right? After we say Allahu Akbar, after Al-Fatiha and the surah, we go to what? Ruku'. We go to ruku', right? A person, they forget and they go straight to sajda. Right? That means they skipped what? Ruku'. And they skipped what else? Coming up from ruku'. They skipped 2 pillars. Right? That has to be fixed. No, you have to come with those pillars. You have to stand up and fix that. Okay? You can't just keep going and then say, I'm going to just make 2 prostrations at the end. Not for a pillar. A pillar, you can't just keep going and then say, I'm going to just fix it at the end with the 2 prostrations for forgetfulness. Not for these. These have to be done in the salah. طيب. Number 9. وَالطُّمَأْنِينَ فِي الْكُلِّ. Being relaxed in each position. Being relaxed in each position. As he says, وَهِيَ السُّكُونُ وَإِنْ قَلَّ. In every position that was mentioned, that it has to be, if we could say, a point that you stop in that position, even if it's a small point. That you don't breeze through the positions where you can't distinguish, did he come up out of ruku or not? Right? Because you may see a person, they're in ruku, and they come up, and they don't come all the way up. So they come like this. They come up halfway and go down. Where you don't know if did they stand up or not. Right? That each position should have some, as they say, a sukoon. There should be some type of, not delay, but some sort of pause that you can distinguish each position from the other. Right? So you're standing in Qira'at al-Fatiha, reading al-Fatiha and another surah, then you go to ruku'. You go to ruku', right? Tamatnina is to have some sukoon in ruku'. Don't you just go bop, 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 right? You go into ruku', you have some sukoon, right? Doesn't mean you have to be there long, but it should be able to be distinguished from when you went down and when you came up, right? Every position is like that. That it should be tumatnina fil kulli, in every position. طيب. Number 10, at-tashahhud al-akhir. The last tashahhud, right? It's 2 tashahhuds for the salawat that are 2, or 4, even fajr, it's only 1 tashahhud, right? The tashahhud is a pillar. Everybody with me? Not the moving finger is a pillar. The statement of the tashahhud is a pillar. This is not the pillar. The pillar is the statement. At-Tahiyyatu lillahi. Right? Assalamu alaikum. Now, he specified and said, the last tashahhud is a pillar. Which means that the first tashahhud is what? Huh? He said the last tashahhud is a pillar. So the first tashahhud is not a pillar. The first tashahhud is not considered a pillar. Okay? Everybody with me? That falls under another category. Remember, the pillars, you can't miss them. These can't be missed. If you miss them, you have to go back in the salat and fix them. And then you're going to make 2 sujood at the end with it. But you have to come with these in the salat. You can't say, I forgot the tashahhud, I forgot to read Al-Fatiha, I'm going to just make 2 at the end and salam out. Not for these. Alright? طيب. He says, with tashahhud al-akhir, the last tashahhud is from the pillars, وَجُلُوسٌ لَهُ وَلِلسَّلَامِ. So he mentions now 3, which is number 10, the last tashahhud, number 11, sitting for the tashahhud, and number 12, sitting for the salam, the taslim. Right? So he says, as the Messenger ﷺ said, إِذَا قَعَدَ أَحْدُكُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِ فَلْيَقُلْ التَّحِيَّاتُ لِلَّهِ. If one of you sits for the salat, sits in the salat, so he is to say the tashahhud. But it has to be while a person is sitting. It has to be a sitting for that tashahhud. Everybody with me? It's not the point of who would stand up and do it. That's not important. What's important is that you have to be sitting when you do it. If somebody chooses to do something else, then you know they're going against the hadith. When one of you sits, you should be sitting when you do the tashahhud. So that sitting is considered to be a pillar. The hadith is in Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari. طيب. Also, the sitting for the salam, the tasneem, which was described in the general sense. It was described in the description of the prayer, but it wasn't mentioned that you have to sit for the tasneem, and that sitting for the tasneem, the salam, is a pillar, right? It wasn't mentioned there. Now he's saying that the tasneem, julus, the tasneem, is also a pillar, which is the 12th pillar. Number 13, At-Taalib. Tartib is that all of the pillars that are mentioned are done in order. Everything has to be in order that was mentioned, right? لأنه صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يصليها مرتبة. Because this is how the Prophet ﷺ used to pray. He used to pray, and this is the order that he would do the movements in. These are the positions that will come one after another. And he taught the man who came into the masjid, and he gave the Prophet salams, and the Prophet said, go pray, because he didn't pray. They call that the man who, as is translated sometimes, he prayed badly. It says the man who prayed badly. The man who didn't know how to pray. He came in the masjid, he prayed 2 rak'ah. The Prophet he saw him praying, and then when the man finished, he came to the Prophet and said, Assalamu alaikum. The Prophet returned the salam, he said, Irja fasalli, fa'innaka lam tusalli. Go back and pray because you didn't pray. So the man went back and prayed again the same way. That's all he knew. He came back, gave him salams, he told him, go back and pray because you didn't pray. The man went and did it again, prayed. He prayed, that's what he knew how to do, right? He prayed based on what he knew. It wasn't an excuse that he didn't know that he didn't have to do these things, right? The Prophet said, Irja fasalli, go back and pray because you didn't pray. Whatever you did right there, that was not the prayer. That didn't count as the prayer. So he did that 3 times and he came back and told him, this is all I know. So this hadith is called the man who prayed better. The Prophet ﷺ taught the man how to pray in this hadith. So it says, وَعَلَّمَهَا الْمَسِيءِ صَلَاتَهُ مُرَتَّبَةً بِثُمَّةٍ. So when he told the man how to pray, when he was telling them the steps, he used the word, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he used the word thumma in Arabic, thumma. And thumma in Arabic means then, which points to, and this word is used in Arabic to point to tartib, order. Do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. This is how he taught the man, right? The man who did not know how to fulfill the prayer correctly. So he taught him what was needed for the prayer to be correct, which was order. It has to be in the order that the Prophet ﷺ taught the man. Clear? Is that clear? Inshallah? Tartib. And tartib comes in the salah, it comes in the salah, and it comes in other places also, but we'll leave it there for the salah. Tayyib. So that was number 13. Number 14, at-tasneem. Given a tasneem. Tayyib. The tasneem is the statement, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The tasneem, the salam at the end of the salah. Due to the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said alayhi salatu wasalam, وَخِتَامُهَا التَّسْنِيمُ. What ends the prayer is the tasneem. What ends the prayer is the tasneem. Clear? That's the 14. So, real quick, because the pillars, again, the pillars can't be missed. If a pillar is missed, it has to be fixed. It has to be made up in that salah. You can't just say, you can't just pray 2 sajdas at the end if you miss one of these. Alright? It's from the prayer, it can't be missed. Meaning, if I skip a ruku', or I skip a sajda, one sajda in the salah, or if I skip al-Fatiha, right? Maybe I'm in the house, something happens in the house after I do the takbir, I go to recite, I say the opening dua, I get distracted, and I say Allahu Akbar, and I go into ruku', and I never read al-Fatiha. That means I skip the pillar, which means, what? If I keep praying like that, that whole rak'ah, not the whole salah, that whole rak'ah is going to be invalid without al-Fatiha. I might go through the whole rak'ah, and then when I stand up, I say, wait a minute, I didn't read al-Fatiha. So that second time when I stand up, which usually will be my second rak'ah, right? Really is my first rak'ah. Why? Huh? The first one didn't count because it didn't have al-Fatiha. So I have to make that, I will have to use that as my first rak'ah now with al-Fatiha. And at the end of the salah, I still have to make the 2 sujood as-sahw, the 2 prostrates for forgetfulness. Tayyib. And that goes for all of them. The arkan can't be missed, and if they are missed, they have to be yati biha. We have to correct the salah, in the salah with it. And that's the end of the arkan. And the next section is dealing with the wajibat, the obligatory things in the prayer, which are 8. There are 8, and they don't carry the same weight as the arkan. They don't carry the same weight as the arkan. And we'll stop there. Inshallah. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam.